Level 1. The tap. The room has no windows. The man across the table has been asking questions for 4 hours, and he already knows every answer. He knows about the fight you got into when you were 14. He knows your father died owing £9,000 to 3 different banks. He knows the name of a girl you haven't spoken to in 6 years, and he asks about her the way an old friend would. He isn't trying to learn about you. He's watching how you lie. 3 months earlier, you're in your final year at university. You speak 3 languages, and one of them is the kind that makes certain people pay attention. You have £43,000 of student debt and no plan. Your tutor stops you after a seminar. There's a careers talk on Thursday, he says. Not the one on the posters, a smaller one. He thinks you'd be a good fit, and he doesn't say for what. 12 of you sit in a beige room, while a gray man in a gray suit talks about interesting work overseas, without once saying what the work is. He never gives his name. His lanyard is blank. At the end, he hands out a web address that leads to an application form that never mentions the word intelligence. You apply because you're curious. That's what you tell yourself. Then come the tests, written papers, role plays where actors lie to your face and you have to catch it, interviews where they ask what you'd do if a source's life depended on a decision you had 90 seconds to make. You've never met a source. You answer anyway. Then the vetting. 6 months of it. They talk to your neighbors from when you were 9. They talk to your ex. Strangers walk through your entire life with a torch. And at the end of it, the man in the windowless room slides a piece of paper across the table. The offer is £34,500 a year. Your flatmate just signed with a bank for $55,000 plus bonus. You do the maths. The maths is insulting. You sign anyway. Later, much later, you'll understand that the bad salary is the first filter. They are screening out everyone who came for the money. The ones who stay are the ones who wanted the secret more than the salary. You sign a second document. It has a serial number in the corner. The Official Secrets Act. The man tells you it applies for the rest of your life. And he says, the rest of your life, the way other people say, until Friday. That night your mother calls and asks how the job hunt is going. Foreign office, you say. Trade section. Boring, really. It comes out smooth. No pause. No heat in your face. That's the moment the training actually starts. And nobody had to teach you a thing. Level 2. The fort. They send you to an old stone fort on the south coast. Napoleon was the enemy when they built it. The sea hits the walls at night and the windows rattle in their frames. Your instructor is a woman named Grace, 58, silver hair, cardigan with a tissue tucked in the sleeve. She looks like she should be running a village library. Grace ran agents in 3 countries she is not allowed to name. And when she walks into a room, men twice her size sit up straighter. The first exercise sounds like a joke. Go into town, pick a stranger in a bar. By closing time, have their passport number. You fail. You're charming. You're funny. The stranger buys you a drink and tells you nothing that matters. Grace debriefs you at midnight. You made him remember you, she says. That's the opposite of the job. The best officer in the world is the one nobody can describe the next morning. You learn to be forgettable. Gray clothes, medium everything. A face that slides off memory like rain off glass. You learn the mechanics. How to check if you're being followed without ever turning your head. How to build a cover story with enough true things in it that the lies have somewhere to hide. How to hold 4 names in your head and answer to the right one at 3 in the morning, because they will wake you at 3 in the morning to check. And you learn Grace's 4 doors. Nobody betrays a country, she tells the class. A country is too big to betray. People betray a boss who humiliated them, a pension that got stolen, a hospital bill they can't pay, money, ego, revenge, conscience. 4 doors. Your entire career is learning which door is already open. You write it down. She watches you write it down. You think the doors are for other people? She says. Remember, I told you they're not. Halfway through the course, your girlfriend leaves. You've vanished for weeks at a time, and every explanation you're allowed to give sounds exactly like an affair. You watch her believe you're cheating, and you let her, because the truth belongs to the government, and the government isn't sharing. She packs a bag while you stand in the kitchen, saying nothing that helps. On the last day, Grace shakes your hand. Congratulations, she says. You now have 2 lives. Try to remember which one is real. You will spend 30 years trying. Level 3, second secretary, Vienna. On paper, you are the second secretary, political section at the British Embassy. You have a desk, a stapler, and a diary full of trade receptions. On paper, you are the most boring man in Austria. The firm pays your rent, a 2-bedroom flat near the Ring that would cost you 2,000 euros a month. There's an overseas allowance, a cost of living allowance, an entertainment budget. Your salary says £41,000. Your life says double that. You learn quickly what the entertainment budget is for. It's for buying friendship on the King's coin. Dinner is 40 euros a head, and every receipt goes to London stapled to a contact report. Because this whole trade runs on 2 things, hospitality and paperwork, in that order. Your actual job is parties. Every reception in this city is a chessboard. Half the diplomats in the room are doing exactly what you're doing, for exactly the same reasons under different flags. You clock them. They clock you. Everyone smiles. You learn to drink 1 glass of tonic water all night while holding it like a gin, because the man who stays sharp at midnight owns the room full of people who didn't. There's another officer at the station, Rupert. Old money, effortless suit, laughs in the right places. Rupert never forgets a favor, given or owed. He keeps them like other men keep money. Everything here is a currency, he tells you at your first reception. Information, access, embarrassment. Learn the exchange rates. Here is what civilians get wrong, and what you will never get wrong again. You are the officer. The people you recruit are the agents. The agent takes the real risk. The agent goes to prison. You go to another posting. Months pass. London wants access to a particular ministry in a country you will never name out loud. Not even now. Not even to yourself. Then one Thursday, at a trade reception under a chandelier, you meet a tired man in a suit that was good 10 years ago, 54. An accountant 30 years inside that ministry. He holds his wine without drinking it. You ask him a polite question about his work. He gives a polite answer. And then, one sentence, quiet, almost to himself. They restructured our pensions last year. 30 years, and they moved the finish line. Revenge door, says a voice in your head that sounds like Grace. Already open, his name is Thomas. You just met the most important person of your career. Neither of you knows it yet. Level 4, the handler. You do not pitch a man like Thomas. You grow him, slowly, like the roses he keeps behind his little house. And he does keep roses, you learn, 40 of them, each one labeled in pencil. It takes 14 months. Coffee first, then chess in the park on Saturdays, because Tomas plays chess and you let him teach you. He beats you 19 games straight. You stop pretending to lose around game 7. You didn't need to pretend. You meet his wife, Marta, exactly once. Warm, sharper than her husband, sick with something the doctors in his country treat with waiting lists, and the clinics in Switzerland treat with money. Money door. Also open. London approves the approach. You rehearse it for a week and sleep for none of it. You do it in his garden between the rose beds because a garden has no microphones and a man is calmest among things he loves. You don't say spy. You don't say secrets. You say you work for people who value his insight, and those people can help with Marta's treatment, and it would stay between friends. Thomas looks at his roses for a long time. I was wondering, he says, when you would finally ask. He knew, maybe from the second coffee. He let you spend 14 months recruiting a man who had already decided. The mechanics are simple, and they never feel simple. 900 euros a month, cash, no patterns. A flower pot moved from one end of his balcony to the other means we need to meet. A strip of chalk on a lamppost means danger. Go quiet. Meetings every third Thursday. Different cafe each time. And he photographs documents in place because paper that leaves a building is paper that hangs a man. You sign for the operational cash at the station, 20,000 euros in a gym bag, and you sign for it like taking out a library book. Here is the arithmetic that keeps you awake. Thomas costs the British government 900 euros a month. Your Vienna flat costs more than twice that. A man's conscience, his risk, his 30 years of access, priced below your rent. Grace told you people are cheaper than you think. She never told you how it feels to be the one counting out the notes. Marta gets her treatment. The color comes back to her face. Thomas starts sleeping through the night. You stop. You're his handler. Most days it feels like he's yours. Level 5, the shell game. The documents start small: procurement forms, budget lines, boring, beautiful paper. Then Thomas photographs a ledger that shouldn't exist, and the boring paper becomes a map. A ministry payment goes to a consulting firm in Vienna that has no consultants. The Vienna firm pays a shelf company in Cyprus that is one man, one desk, and 400 companies registered to the same door. Cyprus pays a free zone entity in Dubai. Dubai pays a shipyard. Sanctioned money washed through 4 countries, coming out clean on the other side. $340 million of it a year. You spend 9 months following it, and by the end, you can read a corporate registry the way a priest reads a confession. Shell companies aren't clever. They're just doors behind doors, and Thomas handed you the master key. Your reports go to London in numbered folders. One comes back with a single line on the cover, written by hand, in green ink, and only one person in the building writes in green ink. Good. More. You fly to London to brief a minister whose face you know from the television. He asks 3 questions. 2 are good. You watch your work walk out of the room and become policy, and something swells in your chest that you should recognize. Money, ego, revenge, conscience. You thought the doors were for other people. You're promoted. £58,200 a year. Here is the paradox you live inside now. The network you're unpicking moves your annual salary every 4 minutes. This month, you handled intelligence worth more than everything you will earn in your life, and then you filled out a form to reclaim the cost of 2 coffees. You marry a music teacher you met at an embassy concert. She thinks she married a slightly dull diplomat who travels too much. She's kind and she's patient, and every single day you hand her the same small stack of lies, arranged neatly like folded shirts. You keep promising each other things will slow down after the next posting. The next posting never comes slower. And then, in the intercepts, a shadow. Somewhere inside that ministry, someone has noticed the money map is leaking. A counterintelligence file has been opened. It has no name in it yet. It has a shape. The shape is a 56-year-old accountant who grows roses. Level 6. The extraction. The flower pot moves on a Tuesday. Wrong day, wrong signal pattern. The emergency version. You walk past his street once and your stomach drops. Chalk on the lamppost. Danger. Go quiet. Thomas misses the Thursday meeting. Then the fallback. A source inside the ministry confirms it. Internal auditors, files pulled, and a short list of 11 names. His is 4th. You cable London requesting exfiltration for Thomas and Marta. London replies in 41 hours, and the reply is a spreadsheet. Intelligence yield from the source. Declining, as expected, access reduced. Estimated cost of exfiltration and lifetime resettlement, £1.8 million. New identities, housing, pensions, protection, risk of diplomatic incident, elevated. Conclusion, not cost justified at this time. You read it 3 times. Somewhere in that building by the Thames, a man's life has a cell in a spreadsheet, and the cell says he isn't worth it. You fly to London on your own money. Rupert owes you 4 years of favors. You spend all of them in one afternoon getting into rooms you have no business entering. Then you find Grace, senior now, an office with a window, and you make your pitch, and she stops you 30 seconds in. You're arguing that you love him. She says, nobody funds love, argue money. So you rewrite the case overnight, and this is what you tell the committee. Thomas isn't a declining source. He's an advertisement. Every agent we run in every hostile country is watching what happens to him. If we drop a man after 20 years of service, we don't lose one agent. We raise the price of every agent we ever try to recruit again. Protecting him is the cheapest recruitment campaign we will ever fund. Silence. Then a man you've never met initials the corner of the page. £1.8 million. Approved. Not for a life. For the brand. You take it. The run takes 4 days. A car with diplomatic plates that stops being diplomatic at the second border. A night crossing. A fishing boat that smells of diesel and rust. Marta gray-faced and gripping the rail. A safe house with plastic chairs and instant coffee. Before they leave their house forever, Thomas asks for 10 minutes in the garden. You watch through the window as he takes cuttings from his roses, a dozen of them, and wraps the stems in wet newspaper and tucks them inside his coat like documents. Those cuttings cross 4 borders against every rule of tradecraft you've ever been taught. You say nothing. One of the 11 names on that shortlist wasn't so lucky. A different agency's man. You read about his trial in the weekly summaries, 18 years, and then you stop reading the weekly summaries. Back at the station, your file gets a new word in it. Emotional. The next promotion goes to a man who has never lost a source because he's never run one worth losing. The service books £1.8 million and calls it a loss. You know better. It's the only profit you'll ever be completely sure of. Level 7. VAUXHALL Cross. They bring you home to the sandstone and green fortress on the Thames. Tourists photograph it. Taxi drivers call it Legoland. Inside, everyone just calls it the office. You have a lanyard, a desk, and a title with the word head in it. 19 years in, £86,000 a year. Your job now is reading other officers' contact reports, other officers' agents, other people's to masses, reduced to yield curves and risk ratings. Twice a year, a cable crosses your desk asking whether an exfiltration is cost justified. And twice a year, you feel the spreadsheet looking back at you. Sometimes you approve it and take the budget hit. Sometimes you can't, and you sign the other version, and you go home and stand in the garden in the dark for a while. Home is a mortgage in Surrey. Your wife knows your job title. She has never once heard a true story about your day. And after this many years, she stopped asking, and that silence is the largest room in your house. There are no children. There was always going to be a quieter posting first, and the quieter posting never came. You do the pension maths on a train one evening. Index-linked final salary, worth well over £1 million if you stay to 60. The most expensive thing you own is the reason you can't leave. They call it a pension. It works like a leash. Then Grace dies. A Tuesday. Her heart in her garden among her tomatoes. 41 people at the funeral. The eulogy is 4 minutes long. It says she was a dedicated civil servant with a talent for languages who loved her garden. 3 countries. Countless agents alive because she was brilliant. A medal she was never allowed to take out of the building. And the official summary of her entire existence is, Keen Gardener. You sit in the 3rd pew and you understand with total clarity that you are looking at your own funeral. Even your ending will be a cover story. Rupert left the firm 4 years ago. He buys you lunch in Mayfair, a private intelligence house, glass office, art on loan. He slides a card across the tablecloth, and then, because it's Rupert, a number, 250,000 base, plus bonus, plus a day rate for advisory work, 2,500 a day. You've spent 30 years learning the most valuable trade on earth, he says, for a civil service salary. The market would like a word. You say no. You surprise yourself with how fast you say it. 2 months later, they ask you to give the welcome talk to the new intake. 12 faces, bright and unforgettable, which they'll fix soon enough. You hear yourself giving them the same speech the gray man gave you, and somewhere in the middle of it, you stop believing a sentence just before you say it. You finish the speech, you go upstairs, you start your resignation letter that night. Leaving the service is its own operation, so you plan it like one. Exit interviews, debriefs, a quiet reminder that the act follows you to the grave. The rest of your life, said the way other people say until Friday. You hand in the pass. The barrier accepts it with a small green blink, and just like that, the building forgets you. You walk out across VAUXHALL Bridge at dusk. You look back exactly once. 22 years. The river doesn't care. That's the thing about the river. It never did. Level 8. The second life. Here is the secret about getting rich after the secret world. You never sell a secret. Not once. You don't have to. What the market pays for is 30 years of knowing which questions to ask. You start as a consultant, due diligence, strategic advisory, the polite names for it. A hedge fund is about to put $400 million into a partnership in a difficult country, and they want to know who they're really shaking hands with. A law firm needs to know where a defaulting oligarch's money actually sleeps at night. A bank's compliance team has a diagram of shell companies and no idea how to read it. You can read it the way a priest reads a confession. You've been reading it since Vienna, £3,000 a day. Your first year alone, you bill $400,000, more than your last 6 years of salary combined. Year 2, you and a partner open a boutique firm. 8 people, no logo on the door. A kettle that's always warm. Clients on retainer at $20,000 a month, and you cap it at 6 clients, because scarcity is also a currency. Rupert taught you the exchange rates a long time ago. Year 4, the firm clears $2.1 million in profit. Half is yours. The irony is so clean it's almost funny. Banks now pay you $3,000 a day to find the exact same Cyprus and Dubai shell structures you once unpicked for $58,000 a year. Same game, same doors behind doors. The only thing that changed is the invoice. By 60, you're worth a little north of £6 million. The mortgage is a memory. It isn't loud money. It doesn't buy boats or make noise online. It sits quietly in index funds and gilts in a farmhouse with bad phone signal, which is exactly the point. You spent your whole life learning to be forgettable. The money learned it too. One October, you fly 26 hours to a small green town on the far side of the world, to an address that officially doesn't exist. Tomas is 74 now. Different name on his gate. Same eyes. His garden is full of roses, big, riotous, dozens of them, and every single one descends from a dozen cuttings, wrapped in wet newspaper, that crossed 4 borders inside an old man's coat. Marta brings tea and calls you by a name that isn't yours either, and the 3 of you sit with your 3 false names in the sun. You play chess. He beats you twice. Nothing important can be said out loud, even now, even here. The act, the rest of your life, and it turns out nothing important needs to be. Late in the afternoon, Thomas gestures at the garden, the house, Marta laughing at something inside. You know what you bought, he says, for €900 a month. He doesn't finish the sentence. He just leaves his hand in the air, holding all of it. On the plane home, you understand the strange arithmetic of your whole life. You have a wife, a fortune, a firm with your judgment priced by the day. And the only person on this earth who has met both of your lives, who actually knows you, lives 12,000 miles away, under a name that isn't his. You are the richest forgettable man you know. In the spring, a university invites you to speak. The famous former diplomat, 20 minutes on a career in international affairs. You give the sanitized version. The room laughs in the right places, except one student. 3rd row. She doesn't laugh in the right places. She watches. She asks the only question that isn't in anyone's book, in accented English that you place immediately, because it's her 3rd language. She sits where she can see the door. She probably doesn't even know she does it. Somewhere in London this week, a folder will be opened with that name on the cover. In a few months, she'll get an email about a careers talk, not the one on the posters. She'll apply because she's curious. That's what she'll tell herself. And one morning, she'll sit down in a room with no windows, across from a man who has been asking questions for 4 hours and already knows every answer. He won't be trying to learn about her. He'll be watching how she lies.